A single dad was rejected on a Christmas night blind date, until she asked, "Will you be my husband?" Snow was falling hard that Christmas night, the kind that muffled the world and made every streetlight glow like a lonely star, when a single father stood outside a warmly lit restaurant holding a small, slightly crushed gift bag meant for someone he had never met. His hands were red from the cold, his coat too thin for the weather, and his heart already tired before the night had even begun. He had almost turned back twice, telling himself that rejection was easier to handle at home, alone, than in public on a holiday meant for families and love. But he stayed, because hope, no matter how bruised, had a way of whispering that maybe this time would be different. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that happen when people least expect them, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. He was a single dad named Daniel, though very few people ever asked for his name anymore. Most just saw the tired lines on his face, the weariness that came from years of carrying responsibility alone. He had lost his wife 4 winters earlier to an illness that came fast and left devastation behind. Since then, every Christmas had been a careful balancing act between being strong for his daughter and quietly falling apart when she was asleep. That night, his little girl was at his sister's house, surrounded by cousins and laughter, while he stepped out into the cold for something he had not allowed himself in years, the possibility of love. The blind date was not his idea. A coworker had insisted, saying he deserved happiness too, that life did not end with loss. Daniel had resisted until the loneliness became heavier than the fear. He did not expect much. He wore his best sweater, the one his daughter said made him look less sad, and carried that small gift bag with a simple ornament inside, a snowflake made of glass. It was not expensive, but it was chosen with care, because that was the only way he knew how to give. Inside the restaurant, everything smelled of pine, cinnamon, and roasted food. Couples laughed softly, hands intertwined across tables. Families shared plates and memories. Daniel felt like a visitor from another world. When the woman from the blind date finally arrived, he recognized her instantly, not because he knew her face, but because of the way her eyes scanned the room and then stopped on him with hesitation. She was elegant, confident, clearly successful. Her coat alone probably cost more than his monthly groceries. For a brief moment, he saw disappointment flicker across her expression. They sat together, and the distance between them was not measured in inches but in unspoken judgments. She asked polite questions, the kind that came from habit rather than interest. When she learned he was a single father, something shifted. When she learned he worked a modest job and spent most nights helping with homework instead of building a career, the shift became final. Daniel felt it immediately, the invisible wall rising. He had felt it before, many times. The wall that said you were kind, but not enough. You were good, but not impressive. You were safe, but not desirable. The rejection did not come with cruelty. It came with courtesy, which somehow hurt more. She excused herself early, citing a headache and a long day. Daniel nodded, understanding more than she realized. He placed the untouched gift bag back into his pocket, paid his share, and stepped back into the snow. The cold hit harder this time, because now it carried disappointment. With it, he walked without direction, letting the city lights blur, telling himself that at least he had tried. As he walked, memories surfaced. His daughter's laugh that morning when she opened a simple gift. The way she hugged him and said he was the best dad in the world. Those moments were his anchor. They reminded him that rejection did not define his worth. Still, the ache lingered. Christmas had a way of magnifying absence. The absence of a partner. The absence of being chosen. Unbeknownst to Daniel, the woman he had just left behind was sitting alone at the restaurant table, staring at the empty chair across from her. Her name was Claire, and her life, though polished on the outside, was painfully hollow within. She had achieved everything society praised. A powerful career, financial security, independence. Yet every Christmas ended the same way, with a quiet apartment and the sound of her own thoughts echoing too loudly. She had agreed to the blind date out of exhaustion, not hope, assuming it would be another forgettable encounter. But something about Daniel unsettled her. Not his job or his worn coat, but the way his eyes softened when he spoke about his daughter. The way he listened without trying to impress. The way he carried grief without bitterness. As she sat there, she realized something uncomfortable. She had walked away not because he lacked value, but because he threatened the walls she had built so carefully around her heart. Claire paid the bill and stepped outside, the snow shocking her senses. She spotted Daniel a short distance away, his shoulders hunched, his figure slowly disappearing into the white. An impulse rose in her chest, sharp and undeniable. For the first time in years, she felt afraid of making the wrong choice by walking away. She called after him, her voice nearly lost in the falling snow. When he turned, surprise flickered across his face. They stood there, two strangers bound by a night that refused to end quietly. She apologized, not with polished words, but with honesty. She admitted she had judged him too quickly, that she was tired of chasing the wrong things. Daniel listened, guarded but kind, because kindness had become his default language. They walked together, not back to the restaurant, but through the snow-covered streets. There was no pretense now, no performance. Just two people sharing truths they usually kept hidden. Claire spoke of her loneliness, of success that felt empty without someone to share it with. Daniel spoke of loss, of fear, of the way love had once shattered him and how he still chose to believe in it for his daughter's sake. Time softened around them. Christmas lights glowed brighter. The cold felt less cruel. When they reached a small park, Claire stopped. She looked at Daniel not as a checklist or a disappointment, but as a man who knew how to love deeply and endure pain without losing compassion. Something in her shifted permanently. The moment that followed did not come with fireworks or crowds. It came quietly, like snow settling on the ground. Claire realized she did not want another date, another test, another slow maybe. She wanted certainty born of courage. She wanted a life built on warmth rather than appearances. Right there, under a bare tree wrapped in lights, she asked him to be her husband. Not as a fairy tale, but as a promise to choose each other every day. Daniel was stunned, his mind racing through disbelief, fear, and awe. He thought of his daughter, of stability, of opening his heart again. He thought of the years he had spent invisible. And then he felt something he had not felt in a long time, chosen. He did not answer immediately. He breathed in the cold air and felt the weight of the moment. When he finally nodded, it was not just acceptance. It was surrender to hope. They laughed then, a sound that surprised them both, because joy had arrived unannounced. The weeks that followed were not perfect. Love born in truth never is. They faced doubts, adjustments, and the delicate process of blending lives. Claire learned what it meant to share space with a child who had known loss. Daniel learned to trust someone who had once walked away. But every challenge was met with patience, because they had both learned the cost of loneliness. On Christmas morning the following year, Daniel watched his daughter run into the living room, laughter filling the air. Claire stood beside him, her hand in his, her eyes wet with emotion. The tree glowed, not with expensive ornaments, but with meaning. Among them hung a simple glass snowflake. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that love can arrive after rejection and miracles can happen on the coldest nights, please take a moment now to like the video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement tells us these stories matter. And before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us where you are watching from and what this story made you feel. Your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today. Because sometimes, the greatest love stories begin not with perfect timing, but with a second chance taken in the snow, on a night when hope almost froze.